It began in the summer of 1764, in the quiet, rural region of in south-central France. This was a land of rolling hills, deep forests, and small villages scattered across the countryside. Life was simple, difficult, and deeply religious. People farmed, tended livestock, and prayed that war, famine, or disease would not come for them. But in June of that year, something else came, something far worse. Hit the subscribe button right now, because today, we are revealing one of the strangest, darkest, and most terrifying mysteries in French history. A story so chilling that it left more than 100 people dead, baffled the greatest hunters of the era, forced the King of France himself to intervene. And to this very day, the French government keeps certain documents about it locked away under historical sensitivity. This is the tale of the beast, of the monster that terrorized France for 3 long years. A predator unlike any other, one whose story still echoes through the centuries. The first victim was a young shepherdess named Jeanne Bou. She was just 14 years old, tending her sheep near the village of Les Hubaux, when something lunged out of the trees. By the time help arrived, her body was found horribly mutilated. Locals whispered that it was a wolf, but those who saw the wounds swore it was something bigger, something far more savage. The terror had begun. Over the following weeks, more attacks followed. Always in the same pattern, young women, children, and the vulnerable. They were attacked in broad daylight, often as they worked in fields or watched over flocks. Survivors described a creature unlike any wolf they had ever seen. It was massive, the size of a calf or even a donkey, with a huge head, reddish-brown fur, and a long tail that lashed like a whip. Its jaws were terrifying, capable of snapping bone in a single bite. Some said its chest was striped. Others said it could rear up on its hind legs like a man. And perhaps most unsettling of all, it seemed to kill, not only for hunger, but for the sheer thrill of it. Wolves were not unknown in France. In fact, the country was plagued by them during the 18th century, and they killed livestock regularly. But the Beast of was different. It hunted humans. It seemed to select its victims deliberately, often targeting isolated individuals, sometimes dragging them away and returning to kill again. Panic spread through the villages. Parents forbade their children to go out alone. Fields went untended. The church bells tolled constantly for the dead. By autumn of 1764, word of the killings had spread far beyond. Newspapers carried lurid stories, calling the creature Le Bête. Hunters and soldiers were dispatched. Local militias formed search parties, scouring forests with spears, muskets, and dogs. Several wolves were killed, their carcasses displayed as proof that the terror was over. But each time, the attacks resumed. The beast was still out there. The survivors' testimonies grew stranger. Some swore the beast displayed almost human intelligence, stalking prey for days, avoiding traps, vanishing before large hunting parties. It seemed bulletproof. Several hunters claimed to have shot it at close range, only to see it stagger and then run off, as though immune to ordinary weapons. Priests preached that it was punishment from God. Others whispered of witchcraft, or a demon in the form of a beast. Some even suggested it was a werewolf. The people began to believe they were not merely fighting an animal, but something supernatural. By early 1765, the death toll was climbing alarmingly. And the story reached the court of King Louis XV in Versailles. The king, embarrassed that his subjects lived in such terror, ordered his best hunters to travel to and kill the beast once and for all. The royal hunts were lavish affairs. Squadrons of dragoons, nobles, and professional wolf hunters descended on the region. Trumpets, drums, and banners announced their presence. For weeks, forests were combed, muskets fired, and dozens of wolves killed. At last, in June 1765, a huge wolf was shot and presented to the king as the Beast of the Hunters declared victory. The body was stuffed, paraded, and displayed. France rejoiced. The nightmare was supposedly over. But it wasn't. The killings were even more vicious than before. Clearly, the beast was still alive, or perhaps there was more than one. The king's hunters had failed, was once again plunged into darkness. Over the next 2 years, the attacks continued relentlessly. By 1767, the death toll had risen to over 100. Some estimates suggest as many as 200 victims. The survivors told increasingly bizarre stories. Some swore they saw men in the distance directing the beast, as if it were trained. Others claimed it wore strange scars on its body, as though it had been stitched back together. Farmers insisted its teeth had been sharpened unnaturally, filed into points like knives. And when villagers described its speed, its cunning, its refusal to die even after being shot multiple times, whispers of sorcery and conspiracy deepened. Finally, in June 1767, the creature met its endor, so the story goes. A local farmer and former soldier named Jean Chastel volunteered to help hunt the beast. He was no nobleman, no court favorite, just a man who knew the land and the forests. According to legend, Chastel loaded his musket with special bullets, blessed by a priest, cast from silver. When the beast appeared, he calmly knelt, prayed, and fired. The creature fell, and when its body was cut open, the grisly truth shocked everyone. Its teeth were not natural. They had been filed into sharp patterns, almost like a human's attempt to weaponize the animal. It was not just a beast, it was something altered, something monstrous. The killing stopped after that day. The terror of Watts finally over. And yet, the mystery has never died. Historians, scientists, and conspiracy theorists still debate what really happened. Was the beast simply an unusually large wolf, perhaps rabid and deformed, driven to attack humans by desperation? Was it a pack of wolves, with the legend growing around them? Or was it something stranger, an escaped exotic animal? Perhaps a hyena or lion brought from overseas? Some even suggest it was a human serial killer, disguising his crimes as animal attacks. And then there are the darkest theories that it was part of a secret experiment, that the beast was man-made, a grotesque hybrid unleashed on the countryside. What makes the story even more disturbing is that the French government still keeps certain records of the attacks classified. Officially, they are withheld under historical sensitivity. What could be so sensitive about a wolf attack from the 18th century? Why hide documents if the truth was simple? That secrecy only fuels the suspicion that there was more to the beast than anyone dared admit. The legend of the beast lives on in folklore, in books, in films. To the people of it was more than a monster. It was the embodiment of fear, of death, of the unknown lurking just beyond the edge of the forest. For 3 years, it controlled every life, every thought, every prayer. And though centuries have passed, the question remains unanswered. What was the beast? Of a wolf, a demon, or something created by human hands, a nightmare unleashed upon innocent people? What we do know is this: from 1764 to 1767, more than 100 men, women, and children were brutally killed. Families were destroyed, villages lived in terror, and the shadow of the beast still lingers, a reminder that sometimes history hides its darkest truths. So the next time you hear footsteps behind you on a dark road, or see shadows moving in the trees, remember the people of who once faced a monster they could not explain, a monster whose story is still not fully told. If you found this story fascinating and haunting, hit that subscribe button right now, because next time, we are going even deeper into history's strangest mysteries, creatures, scandals, and legends that blur the line between myth and reality. Tell us in the comments what you think the Beast of really was. And remember, sometimes, the most terrifying monsters are the ones history refuses to explain. If you enjoyed this journey through Mystery Vault, make sure to subscribe and join us for more mysteries of history and the world around us.